Goeienaand, good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. And you know, South Africa today is being compared to a low-intensity civil war situation. And one can see why with the number of murders that happen every year. Extraordinary number, over 20,000. You know what is missing in the statistics that the police gave last week on crime? That is the percentage of white crimes and the percentage of black crimes. And I can understand why that statistic is missing in action, because it would be a great embarrassment on the ANC government. Clearly, absolutely clearly, just about every single crime that happens in South Africa is black crime. Whether it be on black, black on white, black on Indian, black on brown. There's absolutely no question about that. I mean, you just have to look at any video, look at the looting, look at the truck hijackings, look at anything. And you'll never ever see another race involved in these events. So really what you have is a captive minority audience who are having to be put through all these crimes by another group. And when that crime includes murders at a very grand scale, and especially in specific areas like in farms, trucking more and more, home invasions, it starts becoming very, very disturbing. Now, even the Institute of Race Relations say the following. Crime levels in South Africa have reached the stage of a low-intensity civil war, the Institute of Race Relations said following the release of national crime statistics by Police Minister Bekesele this week. At the same time, the Institute for Security Studies, or ISS, warns policing alone cannot solve violence in South Africa. Now, we know our police in South Africa are just incompetent. And sadly, a growing number of police are now actually part of these gangs. They're kind of like the steadying hand. They make sure that no one gets arrested. It is quite bad when you get the situation where the police are involved in the crimes themselves. And we've seen so many instances of the police just standing by and watching as looting goes on or other crimes go on, and they do nothing about it. According to the Cele, the number of people murdered in 2018-2019 financial year in South Africa was 21,022, up by 686 from the previous year. Other statistics showed increases in contact crimes, 2.6%, sexual offences, 4.6%, assault, 2.2%, and robbery, 2%. The Institute of Race Relations pointed out the numbers of murders was back at levels last seen in the early 2000s. An IRR statement said, on a per capita basis, this rivals numbers in places such as war-torn Syria. It is no exaggeration to say on the basis of the number of people killed each year, South Africa is facing a crisis akin to a low-intensity civil war. The report went on to say, sexual offences, which declined over the past decade, are increasing. According to police statistics, for every person murdered in South Africa, 2 are raped, with over 40,000 rapes reported annually. The real number is possibly substantially higher, as many rapes go unreported. And that's exactly the point. Now, again, I'm just going to bring up the elephant in the room. Okay, the elephant in the room. And the elephant in the room is that the number of black on black or black on white rape crimes is probably about 99.9% of the rapes that take place in South Africa. And this is where the stats are completely missing in action here. There's a tiny percentage of rapes by the white population, and I'd say it's generally white on white. And those figures and stats aren't even considered by the police, and I think that's where they're really missing. Okay, these figures mean since the end of apartheid, about 500,000 South Africans have been murdered and about 1 million people raped. It is clear South Africa is losing the war on crime, and the old ways of doing things are not working. The Johannesburg headquartered think tank suggests 8 interventions to turn the tide against crime. They are increasing staff and resources for family violence, child protection and sexual offences units, including expert prosecutors, improving the process of applying for and enforcing protection orders, expediting the process of applying for and being granted firearm licenses for self-defence. I'll get back to that in a second. Establishing an inquiry and public hearing into criminality in the police service, making all police and prosecutorial appointments on merit. Another very important point. Increasing the power of communication or community police forums, granting communities power to elect station commanders, and employing private sector expertise in policing. Now, let's have a look at a few of those points. First of all, one of those key points is being granted firearm licenses for self-defense. And you know what the South African government is doing? It's putting into place a bill that takes away the reason for having a gun being self-defense. So in other words, if you go and apply for a gun license in South Africa and say you want it for self-defense, they'll say, no, you can't have it. That is absolutely crazy. The other areas, when you look at BEE, black equality, empowerment, it's absolutely ridiculous. The people who are in the police force today, there are so many young white guys who would be able to do a much better job. And a lot of these police are just there because they can pick up a check on the Friday afternoon and they really don't give a damn. There's that classic video of an Afrikaans guy walking into a police station just last week, and because he was speaking in Afrikaans and he was wanting attention to report something, the police guy behind the desk in the police station just ignored him, completely ignored him. Just incredible. In its reaction to the crime statistics, the ISS said the persistent rise of violence in South Africa demonstrates strengthening the rule of law is crucial, but not sufficient for improving public safety. South Africa urgently needs to support violent prevention programs. Police reforms and a stronger prosecuting authority are needed in the shorter term. While effective criminal justice is necessary, it is not sufficient to improve public safety. Increased government spending on policing and harsher sentences for offenders have not reduced violence. This is because police cannot keep children safe after school when they are vulnerable, or men from beating their wives and partners. Most murders occur on weekends, and the most frequent cause is arguments between people who know each other. Domestic violence ties with gangsterism as the second leading cause of murder, the ISS said. To address the drivers of violence in South Africa requires an increased investment in programs proven to work. These include positive parenting, after-school care, and anti-bullying programs at schools. Gareth Newman, Justice and Violence Prevention Program head at the ISS, said, most violent behaviour is learnt in the home and in communities. Violence prevention programs are key to reducing crimes that cannot be policed. Now, okay, on one hand you've got the government saying self-defense is no longer a reason for having a gun, so you can't defend yourself when 99% of the crims today in South Africa have got not only just revolvers, but they've got AK-47s, automatic rifles. You've got no chance at all if you're at home and you get attacked by these gangs. Or if you get carjacked, you always see the gun through the window. No defense. That's one crazy situation. And perhaps even more crazy is that they're reducing the police budget exponentially over the next 3 years in South Africa. which means they're going to have to reduce the number of police in the police force. Why would you do that when crime is out of control? It's a recipe for disaster. And just on a side point on this, with the xenophobic attacks that are happening, one Cyril Ramaphosa went up to the funeral of Robert Mugabe and had the explicit honor of being booed. Says something about how the rest of Africa feel about how the ANC are running this country. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell for the updates. Please like this video, and above all, stay safe. Bye for now.